Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive with us.
Glad to be here.
Today we're tackling something that I think is on a lot of people's minds these days,
Mm,
AI.
yeah,
It's changing everything so fast, and it's making a lot of us wonder, like, where do WE fit in as humans?
it really is the question right now. How do we stay ahead of the curve when AI is getting so good at, well, so much?
And to help us sort through all this, you sent me this article on Medium. It's called Contrasting Design Thinking and True Innovation, a study of Eastern innovation in the age of AI. Quite a mouthful.
Yeah, but it's a fascinating read.
Definitely published back in January.
What struck me about it was it doesn't just point out the problem, which a lot of articles do.
Right.
It actually offers some potential solutions, some pretty outside-the-box thinking.
I like that. And it even brings in Eastern philosophy, which I thought was really interesting. So our mission today is to unpack all of this for you, the listener. We'll dive into what this true innovation thing is all about, how it stacks up against design thinking, which you've probably heard of, and most importantly, what it might mean for you out there as AI becomes more and more a part of our lives and work.
Sounds like a plan.
Where should we start?
Well, the article kicks off with this idea of the AI skills gap. It's become a bit of a buzzword,
For sure.
but it points to something really important.
I think for anyone who hasn't come across it yet, could you break down what that phrase actually means?
Basically, it means that AI is amazing at certain tasks, like the really logical stuff, data crunching, finding patterns, anything with a clear right or wrong answer.
The left brain stuff.
Exactly. But when it comes to things that need more of that human touch, that's where AI struggles.
So like intuition, emotional intelligence.
That aha moment, those big leaps of creativity, that's where humans still have the edge.
And it's funny because you would think AI being all about processing information would be good at that.
Right. But it turns out those are actually really complex processes that we don't fully understand ourselves yet, so it's hard to teach them to a machine.
And here's where it gets interesting for our listeners, right?
Yeah. This skills gap, it's not just a problem.
It's an opportunity.
Exactly. It means your human skills, the empathy, the ability to connect with others, the creative spark, those are going to become even more valuable in the future.
So in a way, AI is kind of pushing us to be more human, to double down on what makes us unique.
Absolutely. And that's where design thinking and true innovation come in.
Okay, so we've got these two approaches to innovation,
Yeah.
but they come at it from different angles, it sounds like.
Right. One we're probably all familiar with, at least in concept design thinking.
Yeah, I think most people have at least heard the term. But could you give us a quick refresher, just so we're all on the same page?
Sure. Design thinking is about putting the user at the center of everything.
User-centered design, we hear that a lot.
Yeah, exactly. It's iterative, it's collaborative,
Wow.
and it's been super successful at creating products and services that people actually want and need.
So it's not just about coming up with a cool idea in a vacuum. It's about really understanding those needs and desires of the people you're designing for.
Precisely. But the article makes a really interesting point about design thinking. In the age of AI, it's going to need to evolve.
What do you mean?
Well, AI is already pretty good at analyzing data, figuring out what people are doing, what they're buying, what they're clicking on.
So what does that mean for design thinking?
It means design thinking needs to go deeper.
Deeper.
Yeah, beyond those surface level needs.
Okay.
Into those deeper emotional, psychological drivers that AI can't quite grasp yet.
So it's like AI is taking over some of the more basic tasks of design thinking
Yeah, in a way.
and pushing human designers to focus on the stuff that really requires that human touch.
That's a great way to put it.
So is the article saying design thinking is dead?
No, not at all. In fact, it might become even more important.
More important, how so?
Because it's going to be the bridge between what AI can tell us and what humans can intuit.
Oh, I see.
So yeah, more important, but in a different way.
It's not like design thinking versus true innovation. It's more like understanding how they both fit into this new landscape.
Yeah, I think that's a much better way to look at it.
So where does true innovation fit into all of this?
Well, it takes a more, you could say, inward-focused approach.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more about that.
So there's this company, Unmano Inc., that's really championing this true innovation idea. And they emphasize deep self-discovery as the foundation for truly groundbreaking ideas.
Self-discovery, that's interesting.
Yeah, they do these workshops, mindfulness practices, a lot of open dialogue.
Sounds almost like a retreat.
It does have that feel to it, but it's also very much about innovation.
And they call this Zen School.
Right, that's their program.
So is this where they actually put true innovation into practice?
Yeah, and they've had some pretty impressive results.
Like what?
Well, one example is SkyDrive.
SkyDrive.
Yeah, they're developing flying cars.
No way. Like Back to the Future style flying cars.
Yeah, pretty much. And these aren't just concept designs either. They're actually testing these things.
Wow. Okay, that's amazing.
What else?
Another one is Yayo Ki. They're developing lunar rovers.
Lunar rovers, cool.
And both of these companies, the founders, are graduates of this zenschool program.
So this true innovation thing, it's not just some abstract philosophy. It's actually being used to create some pretty incredible stuff.
Exactly. And that's what I find so compelling about this whole concept.
It's challenging our assumptions about where innovation comes from.
Yeah. Maybe it's not just about brainstorming in a conference room. Maybe it's about tapping into something deeper within ourselves.
And maybe, just maybe, AI is pushing us to explore those depths in a way we wouldn't have otherwise.
I think there's something to that, yeah.
All right, so we've got AI changing the world, design thinking evolving to keep up, and this intriguing true innovation approach, emphasizing self-discovery. Where do we go from here? What does all of this mean for our listeners out there? Well, that's what we'll explore further in this deep dive, but I think it's important for everyone listening to take a moment and really reflect on what we've talked about so far.
Yeah, good idea. Think about where you see yourself fitting into all of this. What resonates most with you about these different approaches? And what questions are bubbling up for you?
Hold on to those thoughts because we'll be unpacking them further as we continue.
Sounds good. Can't wait to dig deeper in the next part of this deep dive.
I'm looking forward to it.
So we've got AI changing the game, design thinking is evolving, and true innovation is bringing something new to the table. But let's dig a little deeper into what this all means for someone like you in the real world.
Absolutely. You know, one thing that really jumped out at me from the article was this point about 3 key abilities that are going to become even more important as AI keeps advancing.
Okay, I'm all ears. What are these abilities?
First, they talk about the ability to feel. And it's not just about, like, emotions in general. It's more about that deep understanding of what makes people tick their needs, motivations, what they really want.
So that empathy piece we talked about earlier.
Exactly. And the article argues that this is where design thinking might become even more crucial in the AI era.
How so?
Well, AI can tell us what people are doing, but it can't always tell us why they're doing it. That's where human empathy comes in.
I see what you mean. AI can analyze the data, but it's up to us to figure out the deeper meaning behind that data.
Exactly. And that leads us to the second ability, the ability to ask questions.
Okay, but don't we all ask questions?
Sure, but it's not just about asking AI questions. It's about asking the right questions, the kind of questions that lead to those aha moments, the insights that spark truly innovative solutions.
So we need to get better at asking the why questions, the ones that dig beneath the surface.
You got it. And that's something that, at least for now, AI isn't very good at. It can process information and spit out answers, but it's not so great at coming up with those truly insightful questions.
But isn't it possible that AI could eventually learn to do that too? I mean, technology is advancing so quickly.
It's definitely possible, but even if AI gets to that point, I think there's still something uniquely human about the way we approach inquiry, the way we connect seemingly disparate ideas, the way we draw on our own experiences and intuition to shape the questions we ask.
It's almost like that element of creativity, that spark of intuition, is what sets us apart. Is what allows us to see things that algorithms might miss, to make connections that data alone can't reveal.
And that brings us to the third, and perhaps most crucial ability, the ability to involve others.
So it's not enough to have a great idea. You have to be able to get other people excited about it too.
Exactly. It's about communication, collaboration, leadership, all those things that we sometimes call soft skills, but are actually incredibly important.
Because at the end of the day, innovation is a team sport. You can't do it alone.
And the funny thing is, those soft skills might become even more valuable in the age of AI. As machines take over more of the technical tasks, it's those human skills, the ability to connect, to collaborate, to lead, that will set us apart.
So it's not about choosing between being analytical or being empathetic, between being logical or being creative. It's about finding that balance, that synergy between those different ways of thinking.
Exactly. It's about becoming more well-rounded as individuals and as a society.
Okay, so we've got these 3 key abilities: feeling, questioning, and involving others. And they all seem to point toward the importance of, well, human connection.
Exactly. And I think that's where both design thinking and true innovation have something to offer.
Okay, but how?
Well, design thinking, with its focus on understanding the user and involving them in the process, is already well suited to developing the first and third abilities, feeling and involving others.
And what about true innovation?
True innovation, with its emphasis on self-discovery and mindfulness, can actually help develop all three.
Interesting. How so?
Well, by becoming more self-aware, we become more attuned to our own emotions and the emotions of others. And by practicing things like mindfulness, we learn to quiet the mental chatter and allow those deeper questions to surface.
So it's like both approaches are ultimately about unlocking human potential, just from different starting points. Design thinking starts with understanding the needs of others, while true innovation starts with understanding ourselves.
That's a great way to put it. And I think that's what makes this discussion so fascinating. It's not about one approach being better than the other. It's about recognizing that they both offer valuable tools and perspectives that can help us navigate this new landscape.
You know, it's funny, we started this conversation talking about AI as a potential threat to human innovation. But as we've been talking, it's almost like AI is actually pushing us to become even more human.
I agree. It's like this technology that can process information at lightning speed is forcing us to slow down, to look inward, and to cultivate those qualities that make us uniquely human.
Maybe that's the silver lining in all of this. Instead of fearing the rise of the machines, we can see it as an opportunity to rediscover what makes us human in the first place.
And maybe that's what true innovation is all about.
That's an interesting thought. So, are you suggesting that there's room for a hybrid approach? Could you actually blend design thinking and true innovation together?
I don't know, I'm just spitballing here. But imagine a design process that started with some of those mindfulness techniques from true innovation. You're cultivating empathy, but not just for the user, for yourself as well. You're quieting your own mind, becoming more aware of your own biases and assumptions. And then you bring that heightened awareness into the design thinking process.
So you're bringing a deeper level of self-awareness to every stage of the design process. You're understanding the user, but you're also understanding yourself in relation to the user. And that could lead to even more insightful, more innovative solutions.
Right. And I think that's what's so exciting about this conversation. We're not talking about just following a set of rules. We're talking about fundamentally changing the way we approach innovation, the way we think about creativity.
You know, it's interesting. The article doesn't explicitly talk about this hybrid approach, but it does emphasize the importance of integrating Eastern and Western perspectives on innovation.
And I think that's such a crucial point. We often get stuck in this either thinking, logic or intuition, data or creativity. But what if the real power comes from embracing both? From finding that sweet spot where those seemingly opposite forces can work together?
It's like we're not just talking about innovation in a narrow sense. We're talking about a whole new way of being in the world.
I think you're right. And what we're describing here sounds a lot like what the article calls Zen school, blending mindfulness with those practical innovation techniques.
And remember those examples we talked about earlier. Skywise Drive with their flying cars and Yaoyoki developing lunar rovers, both founded by Zen school graduates. It's like they've tapped into something special there.
Exactly. And it's not just about the technology they're creating, it's about the whole mindset, the approach they're bringing to innovation, recognizing that our inner world is just as important as our skills and knowledge.
So it's like true innovation is saying, hey, before you go out and try to change the world, take some time to understand yourself, to develop your own potential.
And in the age of AI, I think that's a message we all need to hear.
Yeah.
It's easy to get caught up in the hype, to feel like we need to be constantly learning new skills, mastering new technologies. But maybe the most important thing we can do is to reconnect with ourselves, to tap into that deep well of human potential that no algorithm can replicate.
That's a powerful thought. In a world increasingly dominated by technology, our greatest asset might just be our humanity.
It might just be.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive: AI skills gap, design thinking, and true innovation. But how do you actually use all of this? What does it mean for you listening right now, trying to figure out life and work and all that?
It's the question, isn't it? And I think the first thing is to remember you already have a lot of the skills that matter in this AI world.
We do.
It's more about, fine-tuning those skills, figuring out how to use your human strengths in this new landscape, right? Where the rules are changing all the time.
Makes sense.
So maybe a little shift in perspective, being open to new ways of doing things. Like, let's take that first ability we talked about, feeling or empathy. It's not just about being nice. It's about really understanding people's needs, what drives them. And in your work, that could mean being even more tuned in to what your clients need, what your colleagues need, even your competitors.
Right, because the data only tells you so much.
Right.
There's this whole other level of understanding that comes from connecting with people as people.
And that's where some of the true innovation stuff can help. Mindfulness, active listening, those can help you build that deeper empathy, that ability to really get people. And that's valuable no matter what your job is, designer, CEO, teacher, anything.
So we don't have to all become flying car engineers to benefit from that.
Yes. Not at all. And what about that second ability, the asking questions one?
Oh yeah, with AI giving us all the answers these days.
Well, that's just it. Being able to ask the right questions becomes even more important. It's not just about literally asking things. It's about having that curious mind, challenging what you think you know, wanting to dig deeper.
It's that active thinking, not just taking in information, but really engaging with it.
Exactly. And that fuels innovation, that curiosity. And the good news is it's something you can practice. Just start paying more attention to the world around you, those little things you might not have noticed before. Ask yourself, why is this way? Could it be different? What would happen if? And ask other people, too. Get those different views, challenge your own ideas.
So it's like rewiring our brains to be more curious, more engaged, more open to all the possibilities out there. I like that.
Me too. And then there's that third ability involving others. Yeah, that's part of it, collaboration for sure. But it's also bigger than that. It's knowing that innovation rarely happens when you're by yourself. It's communicating your ideas well, getting others excited about them, building those relationships that make it all work.
I think that's where a lot of people struggle, right?
Yeah.
Especially if you're more of an introvert or used to working solo. How do you break out of that and start connecting more?
It's tough, I won't lie, but worth it.
Right.
And it starts with recognizing that other people's ideas matter. Even if you're a total genius, you don't know everything. And when you involve others, you're not just getting their opinions, you're tapping into this collective brain power that's way bigger than just you.
It's like the two heads are better than one same, but times 100.
Exactly. And with all the tech we have now, connecting with people across the world is so easy. Imagine the possibilities. Don't be afraid to reach out, share your ideas, ask for help, build those relationships. It's fuel for your innovation engine.
You know, as we're talking, it hits me that these three things, feeling, questioning, involving others, they're not just work skills, they're life skills.
All right, yeah.
Like, that's how you build strong relationships,
Yeah.
connect with people, find your purpose.
That's a great point. And it brings us full circle to that idea of AI pushing us to be more human. It's not about fighting the machines. It's about really owning our humanity, those qualities that make us special, and figuring out how to use those strengths in this world where everything's always changing.
So to everyone listening, as we wrap up this deep dive, here's what I want you to take away. The age of AI is here, but it's not a time to be scared or hide away. Step up. Embrace the challenge. Remember what makes you human. Cultivate that empathy. Ask those big questions. Connect with others who are passionate about the same things, and be ready to innovate like never before. Because the future belongs to those who dive in, embrace the unknown, and create a world where humans and machines can thrive. And I think that's a pretty exciting future to be a part of.
Could have said it better myself. Keep exploring, keep learning, keep pushing those boundaries. The world needs your unique perspective, your creativity, your humanity. Go make your mark.